Venus slowing down and getting ready to station is making me pretty despondent lately. So I find it uplifting to remember that all I have to do is give it and try. This works for me because Mars is connected to Neptune in my 9th house. So it might not work for you, but I know from past experimentation that if I give it and try over a long amount of time, then the magic compounds, the good fortune builds up. It might not be the case for you, or it might not be the case for you if you're giving it and trying about something for the wrong reasons. On Monday, you wake up into a bad dream because the moon will be in Scorpio. On Monday, you'll wake up and most of the day is just the moon applying to a trine with the sun. One hand understands what the other hand is doing. You can be reasonably effective at whatever, probably. Afternoon, things get a little rough when the moon moves into Scorpio, because much of the rest of the afternoon, the moon will be applying to a square with Pluto. So that's fallen moon. I'm rolling my eyes at what that means for me. It's rough. You're not even trying to get your needs met, and Pluto in Aquarius is going to throw something at you anyway, like make you, oh, you're not trying to get your needs met, then I will bring you into my whatever Pluto in Aquarius ploy it is. Maybe it will be you get your panties in a twist about the fact that I spoke the name Andrew Tate, because you think if I speak that name, that means I'm down with Sharia law or general misogyny. If that's you, good luck to you. Tuesday, you'll wake up and the sun will be in Pisces. It's a new chapter of winter. It's the last chapter of winter, and it's also kind of, sort of technically, eclipse season. Like if you have a rigorous ritual or talismanic magic practice, then you don't want to be making anything right now, probably. It's too spooky. So it's not eclipse season yet, but the eclipses will happen in the Pisces-Virgo axis later in March. And also, eclipse season, the 2 weeks in between eclipses, will straddle the spring equinox. So that is a very powerful time. The period in between eclipses also contains Venus's conjunction with the sun, which is the halfway point of her retrograde phase. Venus stations retrograde March 1st, and Neptune's ingress into Aries. Oh, and Mercury's retrograde station, and Mercury is lord of the sign of the zodiac that contains the south node for the next year and a half. Okay, so big day. Tuesday is the start of the new era that is the rest of your life. All the crazy changes happening this summer. Tuesday allows some small tendrils of suggestions of what that might be. And then if you're up early Tuesday morning, the moon is applying to a trine with Mercury. You're able to make the best of a not amazing hand Tuesday morning. And then the rest of Tuesday, you can take that ball and run with it. Mars is stationing and the moon is ruled by Mars, stationing and trining Mars. So moon in fall, trining Mars in fall. Either watch out for being sloppy or complete your actions with a light hand, understanding that they might be a little bit sloppy, and that's okay. I don't know which one it is. Wednesday, if you wake up early in the morning, you'll catch the moon trining Saturn, which if you did your due diligence yesterday, Tuesday, then maybe you'll feel relieved, or you will have given yourself some space, or you just won't be frowned upon because it was your duty. You're not going to get awards. But one thing that it would be good to keep in mind, especially on Wednesday, there's a lot of water element. So if you can do something to feel rooted in your body, like make sure you eat on Wednesday. Wednesday is very emotional and energetically charged. Wednesday afternoon, the moon is opposing Uranus in Taurus. That feels disruptive, upsetting, surprise. And then Wednesday night is your night for intoxication, I guess. If you have a safe place to do it, the aspect that's applying all night long does not really want to give you dignity by default. Maybe it's a good time to watch a movie. The moon is ruled by Mars, which is stationing, so planets that are stationing have a lot of emphasis. Mars has a lot of emphasis all week long. Thursday lightens up. Thank God. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of gave us a window into Mars stationing direct, a view of the past several weeks. Mars stationed retrograde December 6th, and the moon, our activator of the zodiac, has been ruled by Mars Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a little container around those days in terms of Mars direct station later this week. On the West Coast, if you wake up anytime after around 5 a.m., you'll wake up to a new era of the week, which is the moon in Sagittarius. The moon is entering its fourth quarter. So after around 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will be waning in its fourth quarter. So then the energy is absolutely of finishing. And if it's a Venus ruled thing, you're going to have to do it again. And if it's a Mercury ruled thing, you're probably going to have to do it again. Mercury in Pisces leading up to Mercury being in shadow in Aries, it makes me feel like it's a longer shadow period for the upcoming Mercury retrograde. Mercury stations retrograde the Ides of March. You get a little boost to your affairs around 10:15 a.m. on Thursday when the moon sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. This is the Centaur Neuralink aspect. This is the brain implant. Become one with your tools. And around noon Pacific time, Mercury trines Jupiter. Mercury in Jupiter's sign, Pisces, in the worst sign for if you Google Mercury in astrology, all that stuff is the worst right now. Jupiter is in detriment. It's not in like the worst condition, but it's not having the best time. These two planets are aspecting each other from each other domiciles. This is referred to as mutual reception. They can help each other. Whatever has been going on with Mercury and Jupiter and what those rule in your chart, if you've been having a difficult time with those things, especially the past few days, things might start to look up. Or you have an opportunity to do something constructive with whatever's going on there. Mercury moved into Pisces on February 14th. So what since then has to do with emotions overriding your thinking. Often that could be a good thing. Sometimes emotions can help us tap into instinct, our intuition. In this case, it might not be that constructive. Mercury in Pisces has a hard time sorting out feelings versus the logical lay of the land. And Jupiter in Gemini has a lot of plates spinning, and dealing with all those spinning plates requires skill or your ability to address things logically or rationally or to intellectualize things. And the planet that governs those faculties is clouded by emotions. So they're able to reach their hands through the void and pass each other toilet paper. Did I use that metaphor last week? The rest of the day on Thursday, the moon is applying to a trine with Venus. And remember last week I said, watch out for fun. This will be the same. Venus is slowing down, getting ready to station. So Venus in shadow at this close to the retrograde station, you can just consider Venus retrograde right now. So the moon in Sagittarius trining Venus in Aries. Normally that would be fun with some red flags under normal circumstances, but these circumstances are not normal. So make the red flag even bigger or plant several more red flags around this potentially fun Thursday night, but with consequences. And the watch out for fun disclaimer on Thursday night might be even more difficult to heed given after the moon completes its trine with Venus late Thursday night, the moon will be applying to an opposition with Jupiter even later Thursday night. So if you've been having a bad time, Thursday might offer you a break from that. Know what it is. It's not happily ever after. It's a break from recent ugliness. Shortly after, the moon squares Mercury after it opposes Jupiter. So again, whatever might have been evened out, you get another opportunity to tip the scales in the direction of letting your emotions overcome your capacity to reason, to think rationally, to intellectualize on a pure level without emotional interference. The rest of Friday is just the moon squaring Saturn. So remember I said Thursday is a break. Friday feels like a downer. So do something that you've been putting off. Don't look to extend the happy times of Thursday. Do something serious. Don't have fun. Just get something done. On Saturday, you'll wake up to the moon squaring Neptune. Sleep in. If you have to get up early on Saturday and be sharp, you're gonna have a bad time. Unless you watch this and you heard what I just said, then you'll be prepared for the difficulties of Saturday. You'll know that the wind is not at your sails. If you have to do something that requires mental acuity, just knowing that can sometimes be really helpful. After that, the moon moves into Capricorn. So we get a change in tone again, kind of an airy-fairy first half of Saturday. The second half of Saturday, you can get down to business. Even though it's Saturday, maybe you'll want to get ahead on something, or maybe you'll feel less overwhelmed by the whole Mercury emotions thing. Even though the moon moving into a different sign doesn't cancel that out, it at least gives us the grounding we need with the sun in Pisces, the North Node in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces. First thing Sunday morning, you're living inside, Mercury in Pisces trining Mars in Cancer. Again, it's like making the best of a bad situation. This is Mercury in fall in the place in the zodiac Mercury least likes to be, and it's Mars in fall. Mars in the part of the zodiac that Mars least prefers. I like this aspect a little bit because Mars can sort of make Mercury a little more quick and mission-oriented. It could also be arguments, but this is a trine, so you can find the constructive version of this if you might not even have to try. It's a trine, it might just happen automatically. Somehow conditions are a little bit better in those parts of your life, or you're given access to actions to make it better. Also in the morning, the moon squares Venus. It's the moon in detriment, pinging Venus in detriment, making a mess out of a bad situation. It's a square. So your tough love, cold comfort, and running into independent spirit, those things aren't playing well together right now. The grand finale of Sunday are two things. Mars is stationing direct. That's one thing. That's pretty big. That makes Mars very strong this week and next week. Mars stuff in the sky is super prominent. Every aspect with Mars I've talked about. The Mars stuff is going to show up louder than it might normally. Now we get the incremental improvement of Mars things in your life. Mars is officially no longer retrograde in Cancer, which is like the worst of the worst part of the synodic cycle. The worst part would be before the opposition. Mars retrograde before Mars opposition with the sun would be the worst part, and that's when some really horrible things happened. December 6th through January 15th. Anyway, so now Mars is no longer retrograde in Cancer. Mars is simply in Cancer, which is still the worst place. You'll finally get Mars out of Cancer April 17th. What did you lose in order to win? How can you nip conflicts in the bud before they begin? This might have been a period where you were avoiding conflict that might be necessary. So now Mars is direct. Maybe you'll confront that head on, no matter how scary it is. Sunday night, the moon opposes Mars having stationed in Cancer. So that's the moon in detriment opposing Mars in Cancer. Another making the worst of a bad situation again with the moon in detriment in Capricorn opposing Mars in fall in Cancer, because Mars is in the moon sign. The moon is in Mars' sign of exaltation. It's not technically mutual reception like the earlier this week, the Mercury-Jupiter square. Mars has just been through a lot. You'll get a little glimpse of how a better functioning Mars could be. It might be a tiny glimpse, but I think this aspect offers hope. Next week, Venus stations retrograde. I'm afraid to dye my hair because every time I've done a hair thing when Venus is about to station, I have been very sad. Don't cut your own bangs. Remember, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.